Welcome to the Deconstructionist Deep Dive.
The podcast that doesn't just accept the story.
We break it
We examine the pieces.
and expose the machinery inside.
Let's dive in.
What if the relationship advice you're being sold isn't designed to make you happy?
But to make you a better, more compliant patient for life.
Okay, let's unpack this. Today we're diving deep into some, highly influential relationship advice. Specifically, we're looking at a perspective you see often, framed around ideas like, why your ego is ruining your relationship.
Right.
Now, let's be crystal clear. This deep dive, it isn't about attacking any specific person.
No, not at all.
Our focus is on dissecting the architecture of these ideas, the underlying frameworks, the unspoken assumptions.
And the hidden mechanisms that make them so persuasive.
Exactly.
And what's fascinating, maybe even a bit unsettling, is how readily these ideas get accepted. They almost become dogma.
Without question.
Yeah, without us really questioning the deeper structures they're built on. So our mission today is really to pull back the curtain. Our source material calls it the modern therapeutic industrial complex. We want to see how this machinery actually works.
Right. We're trying to understand why these narratives land so well with people.
And more importantly, do they actually serve your liberation, your well-being? Or are they maybe geared towards, a different agenda?
Perhaps making you a more compliant participant in a system you didn't even realize you were in.
Precisely.
So let's start right at the foundation, this kind of advice. Our sources argue, look, a lot of it is built on anecdote, not really solid evidence.
You hear it all the time, don't you? In my 40 years of experience, or I've seen this with countless couples.
That classic appeal to authority. And look, experience has value, but where are the controlled studies?
Where are the falsifiable hypotheses, the things you could actually test?
It feels like building this grand cathedral, but it's on the shifting sand of subjective case studies, not the bedrock of scientific data. And then there's the way it simplifies things, taking incredibly complex human conflict and boiling it down to just power, trust, and value.
Yeah, that feels less like deep insight and more like, you said it before, like a horoscope.
Exactly. Vague enough that it feels true for anyone, right? Yeah. But just specific enough to make you feel like, that's me.
Right. And what's truly effective, I think, is how it taps into these really deep universal fears.
Like the fear of being unlovable.
Yeah, exactly that. Or the crushing pain of heartbreak, the sheer anxiety of trying to navigate modern dating, which, let's be honest, can feel like a total minefield.
For sure.
And the language they use, it's almost deliberately hypnotic, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Words like chemistry, soulmate, connection, curiosity, they're all so emotionally charged. So this framework, it effectively creates a problem first. It suggests you are inherently flawed, your relationships are broken.
That's the stage.
And then, quite conveniently, it presents itself as the one and only solution, the infallible fix.
Like a benevolent guru guiding lost souls.
Exactly. Guiding them out of the darkness of their own supposedly terrible egos and into this light of relational enlightenment. Our sources actually call this a spiritual bypass.
Okay, spiritual bypass. Can you unpack that a bit more for us? What does that mean in this context?
Absolutely. So a spiritual bypass is essentially using psychological or maybe spiritual sounding concepts and practices to avoid dealing directly with the messy stuff.
Like what?
Like unresolved emotional wounds or difficult personal issues or even, actual systemic problems happening outside of you.
So it's like skipping the hard work.
Kind of, yeah. It's like skipping the deeper, often really uncomfortable work of genuine self-actualization. You use these frameworks to sort of rationalize away your true feelings or maybe ignore the real external pressures you're facing.
So instead of dealing with conflict, you just reframe it.
Exactly. Or you're told, you just need to work on yourself more. It implies that if you're feeling bad, it must be your internal failing.
Not maybe a totally valid response to a bad situation.
Precisely.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. And maybe a little unsettling.
Yeah.
Let's follow the incentive trail.
Ah, yes. Cui bono. Who benefits?
Right. Who really benefits from this kind of advice industry? Our source material is pretty blunt here. It suggests this isn't some, disinterested search for truth.
It's a business model.
It's a meticulously constructed content funnel. Think about it. The endless books, the online courses, the expensive workshops, the podcasts.
They all feed into each other. It's a whole ecosystem.
It is. And not only that, but it subtly props up what our sources call liberal individualism.
Okay, what's that?
It's basically the idea that all problems are fundamentally personal problems. Your relationship is struggling. Well, it must be because you lack accountability.
Or you aren't curious enough.
Exactly. It never points the finger at, say, systemic issues, like the economic stress that puts immense strain on couples.
Or just how isolating modern society can be, making real connection genuinely harder.
Right? It's a brilliant power play, really, convincing you your misery is just your own personal failure of technique.
And then sell you the technique to fix it.
Bingo. And the most insidious part, if you dare to question the guru or the advice or the whole system,
then that's just proof your ego is getting in the way.
it's pathologized immediately.
Right.
It's a perfect trap. No way out.
That brings up a huge question for me then. What about the paradoxes? The contradictions inherent in so much of this advice?
Oh, so?
Well, on one hand, it often preaches the virtue of like holding contradictions within a relationship, right? Being okay with ambiguity.
I've heard that.
But then at the same time, it demands very specific, often quite rigid, non-contradictory behaviors from you. Like you must always be accountable, you must always be curious.
Right. It champions mystery and erotic intelligence.
But often within the very tight confines of a traditional monogamous long-term relationship model. It sort of promises freedom while smuggling in a pretty narrow set of rules.
Yeah, that feels true.
It does, doesn't it? And our sources offer a pretty radical, maybe liberating alternative here.
Okay, what is it?
To fundamentally reject the entire premise. Reject the idea that your worth, your wholeness, your basic okayness as a human is determined by how successful you are in a relationship.
So detach your self-worth from your relationship status.
Exactly. Intellectual freedom, in this view, means seeing a relationship for what it actually is. Maybe it's a voluntary contract for logistics, for pleasure, for intellectual sparring, whatever.
Or some mix of those.
Right. And if it stops serving those agreed-upon purposes, well, it's something that can be ended without some deep metaphysical grief or sense of personal failure.
Your value isn't relational.
Your value is inherent. It exists independently. Full stop.
Okay, let's dig into some of those specific concepts you mentioned that get thrown around a lot in this therapeutic world. Take accountability. Sounds great, right? Virtuous, even.
On the surface, yeah. Who doesn't want accountability?
But what does it really mean in practice? Beyond the nice-sounding platitudes, our sources argue it often functions as a subtle control mechanism. Well, it can mirror things like the old Christian doctrine of turn the other cheek, or, the more modern neoliberal mantra of personal responsibility above all else.
So the implication is?
The implication is the system or the relationship itself, or maybe the other person, is never really at fault. It's always your failure to adapt, your lack of effort, your inability to meet the demands, however unreasonable.
It puts all the onus on one person.
Often, yes.
Yeah.
And philosophically, this clashes with so many other viewpoints. Think about Stoicism.
Right. Stoicism teaches our power is in our own judgments and actions, not trying to control others or manage their feelings.
Exactly. We control our inner world, not the external one. And, anarchist theory would challenge this too, seeing it as basically demanding you submit to unchosen authority, accepting a power dynamic you didn't agree to.
And someone like Foucault would likely point out
that this is how power often works today. Not through brute force, but by getting individuals to police their own behavior, to conform, to fit into the box labeled healthy or accountable.
So if that's the critique, what's the empowering alternative? Is it just no accountability?
No, not at all. The insight isn't to ditch accountability entirely. That would be chaos. It's about understanding it as mutual.
Okay.
Mutual responsibility, freely chosen, negotiated between equals. Not this one-sided, imposed demand that often just shields bad behavior or system flaws.
So shared growth, open communication.
Instead of unilateral blame or this subtle kind of self-blame where you internalize everything, it's about owning your impact, sure, but also holding others to account for theirs.
That makes sense. It's balanced.
Okay, let's connect this to another pervasive idea. The relationship is a project that requires work and skills.
Oh, that one's everywhere. It feels so familiar, doesn't it?
It really does. Like the Protestant work ethic got bolted onto intimacy.
Yeah. Love isn't presented as this state of being or a gift or something that flows. It's reframed as labor, hard graft.
And if it fails...
Well, clearly, you just didn't work hard enough. You didn't acquire enough skills. You didn't put in the hours.
Right. It instills this feeling that love has to be this constant grind, which is so different from other philosophies like, say, the Taoist concept of wu-wei.
Wu-wei. Effortless action.
Sort of, yeah. Or doing without doing. The idea that harmony comes from alignment, from natural flow, not from constant, strenuous effort and forced striving.
That's a very different energy.
Totally different. And, from a Marxist lens, you could see this relationship as work idea as the commodification of intimacy itself.
Turning feelings into another area for productive labor.
Exactly. Another thing to be managed, optimized, improved for maximum relational output.
So the alternative there is
Right.
recognizing that connection doesn't always have to feel like backbreaking work.
Yeah, I think so. Recognizing that while genuine connection definitely requires presence, attention, care, it doesn't have to feel like a chore, like a job you clock into. It can be joyful, easy, about mutual alignment rather than just endless effort against the grain.
Okay.
And then there's that other big one, the idea that your partner is a mirror, or similarly, your relationship is a story you're writing.
Oof, yes. That sounds so deep and profound, doesn't it? It has that mystical allure.
It really does.
Yeah.
But let's try and cut through that a bit. Our sources describe this as a classic technique of, mystical coercion.
Coercion.
Because it actively discourages you from critically assessing the other person or the actual dynamics happening between you. It subtly redirects all the analysis back onto yourself.
So any problem isn't their behavior, it's your story about it, your reflection you need to examine.
Precisely. It becomes your internal issue to fix, your perception to adjust. It fundamentally undermines objective reality.
Right. Because empiricism, just basic observation, demands we assess things based on actual evidence, observable behavior.
Yeah. Not just mystical reflections or internal narratives we spin. And existentialism reminds us, hey, other people are separate beings.
Separate consciousnesses. Their actions are their own responsibility.
We aren't just projections of our inner world. And frankly, this partner as a mirror thing, it can echo some core techniques of gaslighting.
How so?
By systematically invalidating your perception of external reality. Reframing clear problems as just your internal issue, your flawed perception, making you doubt your own judgment.
Wow. Okay, so the liberating insight there is, yes, self-reflection is crucial, but...
But your partner is not just a projection of you, they're a separate person with agency, with responsibility.
So instead of mysticizing them.
Focus on clear, direct communication, on observing actual behavior, on the mutual recognition of two sovereign individuals who are choosing to interact.
Got it. That feels much more grounded.
Okay, so we've tackled the core concepts, the philosophies behind them. Now let's really sharpen the focus. Let's highlight some of the specific, explicit deceptions our sources identify within this therapeutic industrial complex.
Right, the specific traps, the hidden pitfalls laid out on the path.
Exactly. Let's start with deception 1, the myth of the expert guide.
Ah, yes. This is basically the therapeutic complex repackaging the idea of the priesthood, but for our modern, secular, wellness-obsessed age.
The guru, the therapist, the relationship coach. They hold the keys to salvation, or at least to a good relationship.
And if you accept that premise,
You willingly outsource your most intimate judgments, your deepest intuitions. You hand them over to a certified stranger. You become essentially a perpetual patient, always needing guidance.
and it's insidious because it preys on our genuine desire for answers, for security, especially when we feel vulnerable.
Totally. It provides that sense of authority, but the price is often your own internal compass.
Okay, then there's deception too, the commodification of connection.
Right. This is where something is fundamentally human, messy, organic, and free as connection gets turned into a product you can buy.
Our sources call it indulgent selling for late-stage consumer capitalism. It's like buying forgiveness for your sins, but for relationships.
Yeah, buy this book, take this course, absolve your relational sins.
Think about the marketing language. Unlock the secrets. Transform your love life in 7 easy steps.
It frames connection as something you acquire, a skill set, a product with features and benefits.
And, naturally, a price tag and a checkout page. It teaches us that intimacy is bought, not built through genuine presence and vulnerability.
Moving on. Deception 3. The tyranny of curiosity.
Ooh, this one is subtle. You're constantly told, be curious, be fascinated by your partner, explore the dynamics. Sounds healthy, right?
It does, but our sources warn this can subtly morph into a demand to be endlessly curious about your own exploitation.
Wow. Say more about that.
Your justified anger, your legitimate frustration about how you're being treated, your healthy need for boundaries, these get rebranded. They become a failure of your curiosity.
So instead of saying this is wrong, you're told, be curious about why you feel it's wrong.
Exactly. It's turn the other cheek, but dressed up in therapeutic jargon. It neutralizes valid protest by reframing it as an internal adjustment you need to make.
That's quite a manipulation.
Next, deception 4. The work on yourself dodge.
Ah, the classic. This is pure blame shifting, isn't it? It's like the sin is within you, but repackaged as self-help.
Totally. And it's incredibly convenient for others or for the relationship system itself because it lets them avoid any real accountability. The problem is always pointed back inward at you.
And if you buy into this,
You'll be forever digging for flaws in yourself to try and explain away what might be obvious failings in others or in the situation.
you end up polishing your own chains. Stuck in this dungeon of self-recrimination, always believing if I just fix myself a little bit more.
Then the bad treatment will stop.
Right.
Or then the relationship will finally work. It's profoundly disempowering.
Okay, and the last one you flagged.
Right. Deception 5. The demonization of the ego.
The poor ego gets such a bad rap.
It really does. This deception is basically a straw man argument. It's original sin, but dusted off and given some trendy, psychological, maybe vaguely Jungian terminology.
And what does it do?
It pathologizes perfectly healthy things. Your boundaries, your natural instinct for self-protection, your very sense of individual identity, all of that gets labeled as a diseased ego that needs to be overcome, transcended, maybe even eradicated.
So setting a boundary isn't healthy self-assertion, it's your ego being difficult.
Precisely. Accept this deception and you essentially start waging war on yourself, on the very faculty of self-protection and identity that keeps you safe and whole.
It's a fundamental undermining of your inherent worth. It suggests that to be good or spiritual or relational, you have to diminish your sense of self.
Yeah.
So if we try and tie all of this together, connect it to the biggest picture, what's the ultimate deception operating here?
According to our sources, the ultimate deception is truly insidious. It's the lie that your fundamental value, your wholeness, your very right to exist and thrive, is somehow contingent on successfully navigating one specific model.
The intimate partnership model prescribed by this modern therapeutic culture.
Exactly. It's the pervasive, insidious belief that you are somehow incomplete if you're alone. That your primary purpose, your main project in life, is to become a better, more skilled, relational technician.
Which is such a narrow, restrictive view of what it means to be human.
Incredibly narrow. So what does all this deconstruction mean for you, the listener?
Yeah, what's the takeaway?
Our sources are pretty clear. This entire framework, while it's often painted to look like a sanctuary, a place of growth and enlightenment,
Right.
can very often function as a cage.
A comfortable cage, maybe, but still a cage.
Right. It pathologizes your sovereignty.
Yeah.
It monetizes your vulnerability. It sanctifies compromise, often at great personal cost.
It teaches you how to manage your prison better.
Make it more comfortable, more functional, rather than ever questioning the walls themselves.
So that nagging doubt you might feel, that gut feeling that something about this whole industry isn't quite right.
That is not a symptom of your flawed ego acting up.
Yeah.
No. Our sources suggest that is the first spark, the spark of intellectual sovereignty.
Your mind, the one thing they can't truly own.
Unless you willingly hand it over, stop begging for chains. Think for yourself.
And that's our deep dive for this week.
Remember, the most dangerous illusion is the one you don't know you're in.
But now you know. So here's our question for you. If you were to start burning your own mental prisons today, which relationship rule or piece of wellness dogma would you swing the sledgehammer at first?
Let us know in the comments.
Question the narrative.
Deconstruct the dogma.
See the system.
We'll see you next time.
Stay skeptical.
Thank you for joining us.